how vigilant is a hospital in its coding? And what has been found, the sort of world expert on adverse events is a person called Charles Vincent, who is at Mary's Hospital with me. And he says that if he were to go into a hospital, or his family, he would choose one with the highest level of adverse event recording because they are a more vigilant hospital. It's written an article in the Leader of the NHS in 2007. So there is this difficulty of how well they are coded.
Yes.
And that doesn't apply to death.
Yes, I remember a nursing theatre sister telling me that during the operation once, the aorta was severed. The patient actually died. But what went on the death certificate was cardiac arrest. I think we're all going to have cardiac arrest at some point. So that was, as you say, creative coding.
It is, yes. But what they can't hide is death.
Yes.
Because it's a legal requirement. It actually is not a legal requirement that the hospital does it, but it's a legal requirement that it's recorded. Deaths have to be registered. And therefore, it's effectively a legal requirement of the hospital.
Yes, and I also wonder how accurate our recording of MRSA and C. diff are, in that the clinician, I think on the death certificate, they decide whether that is a major cause of death or secondary cause of death. And I can well imagine that if lots of them go as secondary causes, we get a false impression of just how dangerous our hospitals are.
I think that is probably true. I mean, I don't think we've actually got to the sort of perfect situation with regard to code. It is relatively new. I mean, to be honest, I think that we are probably more advanced now in this country than any other that I've seen, and I've been around the world and trying to teach them how to do it. And I actually think my own department is more advanced than any other, although I might be biased in that assumption. That in reality, because we've been doing it so many years, we know quite a lot about it. It's quite hard work. I think to the next one, and that one, and then Ken. So the lady over there.
My father was in Norfolk Park Hospital. He was admitted there for something relatively minor. He was over 90.
Yeah.
Now, I, in my cynical way, think that they reduce their figures by hastening as much as they can how quickly they can get someone out. Now, my father went in relatively minor ill. He's made more ill, and then the emphasis changed from getting better to getting out. So there's lots of...
Well, we did look at that debate, and actually their average length...
Yeah. The year before, my mum died in that hospital, in the hospital at a weekend, and she's younger than my father, so raising.
Yeah.
Now, presumably that was before this darling woman had started to bring whatever this new method is in to reduce the mortality rates.
Yes, yeah. But we did look at the average length of stay during the period of the study.
And there's a bit more to it. The
right.
weekends, I'm sure the mortality rate goes up at the weekends because you can't get your parent out at the weekends. You can only get them out on Thursday to Monday, between Monday to Thursday. So they've got to keep them in there maybe when they might ruin their figures.
I don't think at the moment they keep... I think they might be keeping them in for financial or what. I mean, the pressure is on financial. But on that particular study, we looked at the length of stay. They actually increased slightly. It wasn't because they got them out in that one. They did think about it. Now there was someone halfway across. Yes.
Understandably, the focus seems to be entirely on hospitals. I've not heard of any looking at statistics related to other health sectors, such as general practices, caring sectors, and their relationship to mortality rates.
We did the analysis also for shipping inquiry, and we have looked at the death rates for individual general practitioners. And what we found was that shipmen could have been picked up from the data, could have been detected. But there is a caveat with that, which is that when you look at the data, you find actually 14 doctors, signals they call it, show up as having higher numbers of deaths. But 13 of those were working in care homes and just writing the death certificates. And the other thing about shipmen is that the most unusual thing about the deaths he was involved with was that they tended to be in the surgery or in the patient's home with the doctor present, which was extremely much higher number than. So those two things would have been, and we have published the paper in our unit, Imperial College has published this paper, showing that it would have been possible to pick up Shipman from the figures.
Do you do generally analysis of GPs and care homes?
Well, GPs are different from care homes. GPs actually, when a patient goes off the GP's list, there is a code, a D code, which indicates that they've gone off with death. This is one thing. The other thing is that you can actually follow each individual death and where they are these days much more accurately. So the data is there. In terms of care homes, now in care homes, what happens is if someone goes to a care home, they are considered to be resident there if they state it is their address, or after 6 months, they're